It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. What's going on, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming back at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. It's been a minute. Took a little time. Got out of the country for a second. Hung out with mom and dad down in Carbondale. Got a little sun. So nice break, but didn't want to leave you all hanging too long because there's some news that's going on around the Big Ten and around the college basketball with the transfer portal. Players, high school players decommitting, which kind of unusual. I mean, it's not. I mean, it happens, but it seems to be a little bit more frequent now. And with the player movement, we'll get into all that. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys doing well. Wherever you are joining us and wherever you're watching, hopefully it's a little bit better than it is here. We got some sun showers, we call them. We like to call rain sun showers. We got some sun showers, but it's a little bit chilly here. It was 38 this morning, so it's a little chilly up here in Chi-Town. And happy May to everybody. Start the new season. Some of you, it may be spring. It's late winter here in Chicago, May 1st. That's just how it goes. But glad you all could take the opportunity to join. Want to get you caught up, and let's get into it. Big Ten transfer portal update. Illinois, third time is a charm. Now, I've heard multiple pronunciations of this young man's name. Guerriere, Quincy Guerriere. I'm going to go with that. So Quincy Guerriere is a very talented French-Canadian young man who started his career at Syracuse, transferred to Oregon, 6'8" forward. Brad Underwood recruited him 3 times, recruited him out of high school. He was transferring from Syracuse. He ended up at Oregon, but he also looked at Illinois. So Brad Underwood recruited him for a second time. And then when he decided to take his graduate year, his last year, he could go anywhere. He decided to, oh boy, hold on. Let me cut that off. Sometimes that happens on my phone. I hate that while I'm going live. Sorry about that. Third time's a charm. So this time when Quincy was looking to leave Oregon, Brad Underwood comes calling for the third time. He had some familiarity. I think he had kind of kept an eye on what Brad and the Illini were doing. And for Illinois, it's a big, big pickup. They've had some nice pickups. Harmon, Damast, but Quincy is a needed pickup for Illinois based on the uncertainty of Coleman Hawkins and his NBA status and Terrence Shannon and his NBA status. So Illinois gets a big, big power forward at 6'8", 6'9", good spot-up shooter, aggressive, athletic, strong, and he's an older player, so he will definitely help. One team that is making some noise that not a lot of people are talking about, and they had a lot of room because their roster has been, gutted pretty much, turned over quickly because Micah Shrewsbury left Penn State and is taking over at Notre Dame. I'm going to tell you what, Mike Rose is getting busy, y'all. He is getting busy. Qudus Wahab, who, if you guys remember, you Big Ten fans, he started his career at Georgetown. He transfers to Maryland. Remember that? He played at Maryland. Then he transfers back to Georgetown last season, and now he'll be a Penn State Nittany Lion. So he's a veteran big that will provide some much needed stability for Penn State up front with Keba Jai leaving and entering the transfer portal. They also get Puff Pass Johnson from North Carolina, was a highly recruited player out of high school, didn't get a lot of time at North Carolina, but he is a talented player, power forward. Then they get Zach Hicks from Temple, who is a small forward. I believe they got a guard earlier that's right. He brought 2 players with him from VCU, did new head coach Mike Rhodes. And one of them, Ace Baldwin, can go. He will be one of the better point guards in the Big Ten this season. So kudos to Penn State and Mike Rhodes. They are really making some inroads, no pun intended, They're making some inroads in the portal transfer portal, and they have tremendous opportunity because they don't have a lot of players on their roster. So big ups to what Mike Rhodes is doing in Penn State. Northwestern picks up Justin Mullins from Denver, a small forward. I have not seen a lot of this young man, but he's coming into a really good situation because Robbie Barron is in the transfer portal. A young man, let me look this guy. He got hurt. Julian, I'll get it here in a second. Julian Roper, who I thought was going to be a key piece to what Northwestern was going to be doing this next season. He got injured down the stretch, and he was not able to participate in that wonderful run that the Wildcats went on in the Big Ten Conference. I think he was hurt. He got hurt in early February to a severe ankle sprain and never really recovered. And so he was out. I thought he was going to be a big-time impact, but he goes to Notre Dame with Micah Shrewsbury. And so Justin Mullins comes in from Denver and has a lot of opportunity there. And we'll have to see because Boo Buie and Chase Audees are testing the waters in the NBA draft. They have the ability to come back to Northwestern. So if both of those players come back, Northwestern will be thought of definitely in the upper echelon of the Big Ten next season. So we have to see what Justin Mullins is like, but welcome to Evanston, young man. Indiana gets Anthony Walker from Miami, a power forward who didn't get a lot of time this past season with a very talented Miami Hurricanes ball club. But I think that Indiana's been as aggressive as any team in the Big Ten in the transfer portal. Excuse me. Sorry about that. With Kel Ware, who was at Oregon, a 7-footer, has already committed to Indiana. Indiana got great news because Xavier Johnson got a medical waiver from the NCAA, so he'll be back next season. And so that will lessen the blow of Jalen Hood-Schifino leaving, Trace Jackson Davis leaving. Also, Tamar Bates transfers to Missouri. So that was a tough loss for Indiana. So Anthony Walker solidifies the front line for Indiana. And Indiana, at one point, according to 24/7, who does the continuous updates on the transfer portal, they had Indiana ranked in the top 10 in terms of transfer portal success. So Mike Woodson has been very aggressive. Let's slide to Maryland. Maryland picks up Chance Stevens from Loyola Marymount University and also former Indiana forward Jordan Geronimo. So if you guys remember 2 seasons ago, Jordan Geronimo started to come on down the stretch. He had a big-time game against Notre Dame, a non-conference game. And then in the Big Ten Conference tournament, when it was in Indianapolis a couple seasons ago, he had a really good run. And then this past season, it seemed like he fell out of favor with Mike Woodson and just didn't get the playing time that he wants. He's a DMV native, so he's going back home. That's a big pickup for Maryland. Maryland's going to be pretty good. So Jameer Young is back. Julian Reese never left. Hakeem Hart left. That was kind of a blow. He went to Villanova. I get it. He's a Philly kid. If Villanova comes calling, I get it. Dante Scott, Philly kid, Philly man, because these guys are older. Dante Scott comes back to Maryland. So the Terrapins will be one of the upper echelon teams in the Big Ten because of their returning personnel. And with Jordan Geronimo, kind of a guy that can, a small forward that can face and shoot the three, very aggressive, athletic. And I don't know a lot about Chase Stevens, but I know that Loyola Marymount has been pretty good the last 2 years out in the West Coast Conference. So it'd be interesting to see how he fits in with the Terrapins. But Maryland putting in mad work there. All right. UCLA picks up Lazar Stefanovic, a shooting guard out of Utah. You see what I did there. here on Bardo's Breakdown, we're going to act like UCLA and USC are already in the Big Ten because they're not going to be this upcoming season, but the following season, the Bruins and Trojans will be in the Big Ten. So I'm going to be covering them like they're in the Big Ten Conference. So Lazar Stefanovic, shooting guard from Utah, transfers to UCLA. Now, UCLA, Boma, I believe the big young big, I think, is putting his name to test the NBA waters. We'll see how that translates for UCLA. USC has not had a lot of they haven't had a lot of movement. They had 3 or 4 players enter the portal, but they haven't brought anybody in through the transfer portal, so thus not listed. There have been some decommits. This is a big one for Rutgers. There's a 4-star recruit named Baye Indongo. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. 4-star power forward, really highly rated. He decommits, and I think one of the reasons he decommitted from Rutgers is that the assistant coach that recruited him, Carl Hobbs, left to go to Georgia Tech. And so I would not be surprised to see this young man, Baye Indongo, end up at Georgia Tech. It's a tough break for Rutgers because Steve Peichel has that program rolling. They are waiting the decisions of Paul Mulcahy and Cliff Amori, and they are testing the NBA draft waters. So we'll see if they return. Be interesting to see. Both guys are a little bit intriguing for the NBA level. Paul Mulcahy could be interesting. Now, he lost all his confidence shooting the basketball, but at 6'7" with the ability to play the point guard position, he's an intriguing prospect. And Cliff Amori might be the most athletic big that's in the draft this year. So it's not certain that those two will return to Rutgers because of their size, and especially with Cliff's size and athleticism. They might get favorable feedback to keep their names in the draft to where they might get some promises from some teams that, hey, if you're available, we might take you. So we'll have to see, but that's a tough break for Rutgers because they're really building a consistent program, and Steve Peichel and Rutgers really have identified what types of players fit really well within their system. And I think this young man was going to be another one of those. So a tough break for them. So let me get out of that there. And let me put you guys, if you want to join the inner circle of Bardo's Breakdown via text me to 312-847-2739. If you want to join the email, stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. So either one of those, text. Oops. You can join the text group, 312-847-2739, or you can join the email at stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. All right. Let's go over here. We got a few comments here. I know it's earlier in the day, but in the off season, I like to get these out early because sometimes people are at work, and now even from a couple years ago, it's been amazing. So I'm in my off-season routine, and I like to get up at 5 a.m. because I like to go to the gym early, get my workout in, do my little morning routine, and then get in and get my work done. So then in the afternoon, evening, I can enjoy myself. So want to come in at around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon whenever I come up on Bardo's Breakdown. So we've got a nice group of people who are watching live. So thank you very much. But what I was going to say is when I went in this morning, I'm in the third largest city in the country, and generally rush hour is busy. It's crowded. I think with people not going into the offices as much anymore, it is noticeable. The rush hour traffic in Chicago is not like it used to be. Thank goodness. I'm happy by it. No complaints. I'm definitely not complaining, but I'm just saying I noticed a difference, man. So maybe the fact that we've got 35 people watching live, maybe it might be conducive to come during this time of day, because some of you may be at home, whereas maybe you were in an office setting and couldn't tune in. So wherever you are joining, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And let's see what we got going here. Check this out, guys. If you want to support the page and the show, you can send stars on Facebook. I don't exactly know how to do it. I've had people do it before. For those that have supported me in that way, thank you. But if you want to support me in that way, I would love it. I would love your support. What's going on? Let's see. Y'all can keep that weather, 75 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, well, rub it in, why don't you? Monty Broten, good to see you, Monty. My internet is skipping, but I'm here just a little after y'all. Okay, Monty, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Puff Pass Johnson. Of course, y'all know I'm silly like that. Puff Johnson can play. That's a big get for Penn State. Puff Johnson was he might have been a McDonald's All-American. He was very highly rated out of high school going to North Carolina. Did not get a lot of playing time. He got a little bit. And when he did get on the floor, he showed that he belonged. But North Carolina was stacked. And they were veteran because they brought Pete Nance in. And so he was not able to beat out Pete Nance. And so he's going to be at Penn State. So this Penn State squad is going to be interesting. So we'll see, but I'm glad you like that. Oh, y'all know who this is? AF till death. That's Stephen Paul Bardo. That's my namesake. What's going on, Steve Paul? Love you, babe. Good to see you, man. All the way from Puerto Rico. Rep Puerto Rico. Ho, represent, babe. Love you. Thanks for tuning in, my man. What's up, Todd Wolf? Good to see you. Todd, do you still have your facility out in, is it, Todd Wolf is a former Michigan State Spartan, played for Tom Izzo, and Tom has a terrific basketball facility. I don't want to mess up, and it's in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. It's a nice facility. Todd, let me know if you still have that facility, man. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. What's up, Curtis Dietz? Not an Indiana fan, but glad their player got a medical waiver. You never know what NCAA will do in those cases. Curtis, I agree. I'm a fan of all the Big Ten teams, and I also agree with you. I'm glad that Xavier Johnson will be returned to Indiana. I thought that he was a key loss to what the Hoosiers were trying to do this season, and I think that he will help stabilize the Hoosiers when they lose one of their best players in program history. I said it. Trace Jackson Davis is going to go down as one of the best players to ever play at Indiana University. Now, that's a mouthful, I know. But statistically, and his impact and his ability to smooth the transition between Archie Miller and Mike Woodson, I'm telling you. So that's a huge get. So Curtis Dietz, good to see you. I agree with you. Welcome West Coast to the Big Ten. Yes, sir. We got to show love to UCLA and USC. I'm going to cover them like they're in the Big Ten right now because we need to normalize this. One of the reasons people seem to be, and you guys share your thoughts with me, please. A lot of people really seem to be upset with this transfer portal situation and NIL. And I think what happens is we just need to normalize these things. We don't need to resist it because it's here. We don't need to resist the fact or resent the fact that UCLA and USC are coming into the conference. We need to welcome the fact. We need to normalize it, right? So Todd Wolf gets it. As a Big Ten brother of mine, he understands that when you bring new schools into the conference, you want to roll out the welcome mat. You want to make them feel well. You want to make them feel good, because when the Bruins come to the House of Pain, you want to body slam them. When the Trojans come to the Breslin Center, you want to body slam them. You want to welcome, like roll out the red carpet, let them come off the plane feeling great, give them what they want, put them up in the nicest hotels. But when they get in these nasty, hostile Big Ten venues, beat their brains in, right? Because that's what we do to each other. That's the Big Ten way. So Todd Wolf is spot on with that. Kevin Lucas, what's good, Kevin? Love everything Coach Peichel has brought to the Big Ten. I can't say it any better, Kevin. I totally agree with you. He does things for an old school cat like me, because me and Steve Peichel are the same age. He does things the right way. He ain't cutting corners. He's holding his kids accountable. Now, they in past years have gone in scoring droughts that have, kind of been hard to watch sometimes, but hell, all of Big Ten teams have kind of been through that, outside of maybe Iowa, who, they really score the basketball at an efficient clip. Pardon me. But I agree with you. Steve Peichel is doing a great job, and it's unfortunate because of the turnover in the coaching staff. I believe that's why they lost why he decommitted from Rutgers, because he more than likely will end up at Georgia Tech. I think if Todd Wolf, if there's some other former players on this show right now, you pick the school and the head coach and the whole. It's a whole thing that you have to consider when you're making the choice of where you want to play college basketball. Now, I get it. The guy that recruited you, you got a really tight relationship with. Now, if he goes to another school and you don't feel quite comfortable in the school, I get it. I totally get it. I'm not knocking the young man. I'm just saying it's unfortunate because I'm greedy. I want all these teams, all the Big Ten teams, to do extremely well to get the highest rated recruits that they possibly can. And when something like this happens, it's happening all over the country. I mean, Texas just lost Ron Coleman, who was a consensus top 10 pick in the NBA draft next year after his freshman year. He was committed to Texas, and he decommitted, and who knows where he's going to be. Arturo Morris, I believe is this young man's name, the guard from Texas, ends up at Kansas. So this is not only happening to Rutgers and other Big Ten teams, this is happening all over the country. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep an eye on how that shakes out. Illini can't be thinking they are good with the point guard position, can they? Monty, boy, you got a crystal ball, don't you? Y'all are spot on today. I think I pulled this article up, and it's on. You know what? I can actually bring this up. Let me share. Give me a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this article on my screen. So here we go. Let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. So Monty is asking about the point guard situation here with Illinois. So let me go back a couple times here where they were talking about the point guard position. One more. I lost it. Here we go. All right. So according to this article, they're talking in this article, they think that Terrence, I don't know why the heck they threw Terrence Shannon Jr. in there as point guard, whatever. We're going to go here. Gibbs Lawhorn will be an incoming freshman. This kid is talented, can score the rock. Played at Mount Verde Academy down in Florida, one of the top schools in the country. He was an original commit to Purdue, decommitted, and he commits to Illinois. He is a bona fide scorer. I don't know that he's a lead guard, however, okay? And then you have Niccolo Moretti, who came in this past season midway through. A lot of people don't know about him, but Brian Cardinal. You guys remember Brian Cardinal? Excuse me. The Illini killer that grew up in Champaign, son of Illini great Rod Cardinal. Brian Cardinal, who works with the NBA academies around the world, said that this young man's got a lot of upside. His older brother played at Texas Tech, was a shooter, but this young man's a pure point guard. He's going to be a good one. And So there's a lot to expect from him. And there's also this young man here, Justin Harmon, can also run the point. He's a bona fide scorer. He gets downhill. He can play in the pick and roll situation. He's a decent 3-point shooter as well. He's an upperclassman from Utah Valley. Can really get it. He can score, but he's not a true point. And then of course, Sincere Harris can run the point as well. But let me see if I can pull this up here. There's a young man who is where is that article? This young man his last name is Dennis, and he is from Toledo. He was the MAC Player of the Year. Now he's a bona fide point guard. He scored 20 points a game, had 6 assists, 5 rebounds. It led Toledo to a 27-8 record. And he put his name in the portal. A lot of people think that he's coming to Illinois. So Monty, I believe Trejay Dennis, he's got a man. Where did I looked up? I had this guy, and I lost it. Sorry about that. But his last name is Dennis. He starred, not played. He starred at Toledo. About 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", well put together. Looks good. And in that conference, those are grown men. So he's going to be used to the physicality. He scored the basketball. When you average 6 assists while scoring 20 points a game, that's high ball usage. So I think that I'll be surprised if I know that Dennis, I know that Indiana is hot on his trail as well. But with Xavier Johnson coming back, I'd be surprised if that young man would look at Indiana, because he would have to either share minutes or outright beat out Xavier Johnson. I'm not sure that would happen. So I know that Indiana and Illinois are front runners for his services. Excuse me. So we'll have to see. But I think that Illinois, if they can get this kid Dennis from Toledo, they'll be solidified at the point guard position. But that's everybody's question, Monty. Great question. Thank you for that. Ben Sims, it still blows my mind how Rutgers didn't make it in this past tournament. I was mind blown. They have elite potential. Ben, they had some tough losses down the stretch, though, man. You know, when they lost Mawat Mag in that game that Rutgers played at Madison Square Garden against Michigan State, they lost him to an ACL tear. They never really recovered. Now, they played better in the Big Ten Conference tournament, but they lost some tough games down the stretch. I was there when Northwestern beat them at Rutgers. I was somewhere where Rutgers was at Wisconsin. I believe they lost at the game. It's all running together. But Rutgers had some tough losses down the stretch. And you don't want to be on the bubble. You just don't want to be on the bubble. And they put themselves on the bubble because they stumbled into the Big Ten Conference tournament. But I like the program. I love Steve Peichel. Love him to death. I love everything about him. Family man, a man of faith, holds his young men accountable, and represents the State University of New Jersey in fine fashion. Thank you, Ben. Hey, Dory, good to see you. Coleman Hawkins invited to Combine. Do you think he's gone? I don't know, Dory. I'm going to kick it real for y'all because you've tuned in and you're listening. Unless Coleman Hawkins can get some psychological help, I don't know how his NBA prospects would be. You can't have confusion at that level. You can't be indecisive at the NBA level. They're too good. They're too athletic. They're too strong. I don't know. He wants to be a point guard. He wants to pass. Then he wants to shoot 25-footers. Then sometimes he doesn't rebound. And then, what is he defensively? Where can you put him defensively? So I don't know. I wish the best for the young man because he's got tremendous upside. He's got tremendous skill, potential. But potential is a dangerous word with basketball players. And sometimes that potential does not come to fruition. So we'll have to see, Dory. I'm not surprised that he got invited into the combine because he's that type of player that the NBA is intrigued by. 6'10" with ball skills like his. But we'll see because, the rubber meets the road, at the NBA level. They don't make mistakes up there generally. So we'll have to see how that turns out. Don't think I've heard your opinion on Coach Rose to Penn State. How do you feel about him and some of the talent he has already brought in? I like Coach Rose. I like what he did at VCU. He would mix up pressure. They don't go crazy 40 minutes of havoc like Shaka Smart used to do at VCU, but they mix up defenses. They'll try to get downhill on you if they can. I'm telling y'all, Ace Baldwin, the point guard he's bringing with him from VCU, he can go. And the guys that they brought in, Kevin, let me see if I can pull those guys up. Here's what Penn State has coming in right now. Qudus Wahab, who is at Maryland. Big Ten fans remember he's been at Georgetown twice. He'll be at Penn State. Puff Johnson from North Carolina, talented, highly ranked power forward coming out of high school from North Carolina. And then Zach Hicks is a small forward from Temple. So they've got high level guys transferring in to Penn State that can play right away. There's a forward, I believe, that Mike Rose is also bringing from VCU. So they may not have a lot of depth, but they've got some guys up. Their starting five will be pretty solid, I believe. So that gives you a sense of what they're looking like, Kevin. But thank you. Okay. Steve Kirk. Oh, Steve, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in, man. And you guys, listen, you guys know I'm a former player. If there's any feedback that you all can give me to make the show better, I am all ears, seriously. And I can't thank you enough for taking your time to support the show. So thank you. But Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate that. My daughter is in that town and says the same thing. The traffic is not better, just less of it. Yeah. That's a, you know what? That's a better description than the way that I described it. Thoughts on Akins and Hoggard entering the draft? We expect one or both back, but what if NBA teams like them and they leave? Does MSU have enough to stay in the top 5, or do they drop maybe the top 5 or 20-ish? Hoop, baller, scoop? That's a great question. Akins has NBA level athleticism. He's been inconsistent with his shot, but I believe selfishly, I'd like to see him come back to Michigan State, obviously. But for the young man, if he can get that jump, if he gets hot in a workout situation or a combine situation, he's a little undersized for a true 2 guard, in my opinion, at the next level. But we'll see. AJ Hoggard, on the other hand, he's not as athletic as you'd like to see as a point guard at the NBA level, but he's definitely got the size. He's definitely got the moxie. He's starting to shoot the ball better. And he wants the ball when the game is on the line. So I don't know. That's intriguing. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you to be in fear when these young men test the waters, because it's all a process to get more information, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're gone, but that they can get more information about what they need to do to work on their games to make themselves more appealing for the next level. So I like the fact that they're testing the waters, because Tom Izzo encourages those guys to do that because he wants them to go out, get the information. If you're ready, go. He's not going to hold them back. Tom Izzo doesn't hold his players back from leaving if they're ready to go. Hold on for a second. You guys can tell I had a little cold, man. It caused a lot of mucus, and so I'm still getting that stuff out. But if one or two of those guys are gone, that will definitely be a big blow. but I still think they'll be top 10 because Tyson Walker's returning. So if Walker and Akins are back or Walker and Hogard are back, I still think Michigan State is top 10. Good question. What's up, Mark Smith? He says, why don't the Illini guards drive to the basket more? Corbello did. Well, I think that's an individual player situation, Mark, I believe. So, for example, Jaden Epps did a good job getting to the basket. We didn't see as much of it down the stretch in the Big Ten Conference, but early in the year and in the first half of the Big Ten, I thought he did a pretty good job of getting downhill. I think that's a personal thing for the players. I tell you what, though, the young man that's coming in that I talked about, how you say his name? Gibbs Lawhorn. Now he gets downhill and he'll dunk on you. This kid is freakishly athletic. He's not real big, but he gets downhill and he'll dunk on you. Justin Harmon, that's coming in from Utah Valley, he gets downhill. Now, he's not as athletic as Lawhorn, but he gets downhill. So you're going to see a little bit of a different approach on the offensive end once the Illini roster settles. It won't, it won't look like this past season. It'll look a little bit different. So I think some of your concerns may be addressed, Mark, when the roster settles. Is Puff related to Cam Johnson, who also played at North Carolina? You know what, Curtis? That's a great question. And if he is, Cam Johnson shoots that thing, boy. He shoots the leather off that rock. That's a good question. I'm not certain. I'm gonna have to go check on that. Steve Kirk, great question. Here's the thing. Throughout the season, I'm saying to myself, Zach Edey's a lock to come back to Purdue. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm really not. I heard an NBA scout. I read a quote from an NBA scout about an unnamed source. I know who it is. I'm not going to name them because they wanted to remain unnamed to give the quote. But he's intrigued by Zach Edey's size and his skill set. So where I thought it was a lock for Zach Edey to come back to Purdue, I'm not so sure. I don't know. I got to reach out to Brandon, Brandon, the assistant at Northwestern at Purdue, Brandon Brantley, to see what the latest is, because I think people are starting to warm up to the possibility of Zach Edey being in the NBA. To me, I know that he didn't shoot the three necessarily a ton at Purdue. I think he can shoot the three, y'all. He's got a nice touch. He's an underrated passer. The thing that I'm concerned about Zach at the NBA level is his mobility. Because, if Joel Embiid, DeAndre Ayton, Joker sometimes, and that's about it. That are post up bigs in NBA. And even those guys, they're very comfortable on the perimeter now. So can Zach Edey get more comfortable on the perimeter, whereas in his role at Purdue is really predicated on him staying near the bucket, providing defensive, protecting the rim, helping out his teammates. But at the NBA level, the game is much more spaced, much more open, and much more perimeter oriented. And can he change ends of the floor quickly enough? Those are the concerns, but we'll see. You know what? I'm not going to rule against Zach Edey because of the amount of, in the short amount of time that he's been playing the game, the amount of progress he's made in that short amount of time tells me he's willing to work. And if he's willing to work, the sky's the limit. And if all you need is one team to be intrigued, to take a chance on you. So we'll see. But great question. Thank you. Still owned, but someone else operated now. Supreme Courts in Aurora. So if you got young people and you've got a AAU team, go look up Supreme Courts in Aurora, Illinois. Fantastic facility that Todd Wolf and I believe his wife created with him. Go check that out because it's a fantastic facility. Ryan Burning, good to see you, Ryan. Good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for joining. Nathan Louder, how's it going? Thank you for joining. Michael Pritz, good to see you, Michael Pritz. Saw where a family told their student athlete they could not participate in NIL until they started. What is your feelings? I like it. Wow. Now that's a change, Michael. Why would you limit your son or daughter? Why would you limit their NIL opportunities if it's available? Why do you need to start in order to take advantage of NIL opportunities if they're available? I'm not quite understanding that logic there. Maybe the parents don't want them to get distracted from the task at hand about being the best player that they could be. But if there's money on the table for there are some programs, Michael, that they give NIL money to all the players on scholarship. I'd be hot as fish grease if Harold and Atlanta Bardo, the 12 games that I didn't start my freshman year at the beginning of the season, I'd be hot as fish grease if I couldn't get some of that money, if all my teammates are getting money, because they said I can't get NIL money until I start. I don't know why you would limit yourself like that. That's curious, though, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. Wes K, I'm 18 minutes late. Did I miss any big announcements? No, Wes, let me go back through this real quick for you. So we talked Big Ten portal update. We talked about Quincy Guerriere. I'm going to figure out how to pronounce this young man's. I'm going to say Guerriere. He's a transfer from Oregon, 6'8", veteran, power forward, can shoot the three, played at Syracuse. He's a French Canadian. And this is the third time that Brad Underwood has recruited him and finally got him. Brad recruited him out of high school, recruited him when he was leaving Syracuse. Now he's leaving Oregon. He's got a grad year. He'll spend it with the Fighting Illini. Penn State has been very aggressive in the portal transfer. Kudus Wahab, Georgetown, Puff Pass Johnson from North Carolina, Zach Hicks from Temple, all high-level transfers coming in for Mike Rose, the new head coach at Penn State. He's doing mad work. Justin Mullins from Denver, small forward, is coming to Northwestern. Don't know much about the young man, but I will do my research and get back to you guys and tell you what to expect. Indiana gets power forward Anthony Walker from Miami. He didn't get a lot of clock this year because he was behind an extremely talented Miami Hurricanes ball club. He shores up the front line for Indiana. Indiana also, if you remember, Kel-El Ware, one of the prized big men, 7-footer from Oregon, is coming to Indiana as well. Maryland doing pretty good work here. Picks up Chance Stevens from Loyola Marymount, and also former Indiana power forward George Geronimo. UCLA picks up Lazar Stefanovic from Utah, shooting guard. We'll have to see how he does. And then Rutgers has a 4-star power forward, Baye Ndongo, decommit. The lead assistant that was recruiting him, Carl Hobbs, is leaving for Georgia Tech, so I would not be surprised to see that young man follow him. So that's what we were talking about. So there, I caught you up. You didn't miss much. Wait a minute. Let me go back out and come back in here. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? Kevin McDuffie, he's a tribe member. You can join the tribe, 312-847-2739, or you can join Bardo's Breakdown group on Facebook if you'd like. We go a little bit deeper. I put things, and I'll share videos in the Bardo's Breakdown group that I don't share on Bardo's Breakdown page sometimes. So if you want to be a part of the inner circle that is Bardo's Breakdown, the tribe, there's a text number 312-847-2739, or you can join the email newsletter, stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. Y'all, I'm losing my voice. So I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. Chuck, good to see you. Has Michigan made any key or good offseason moves yet? Yes, yes, they have. Michigan, let me pull them up really quickly. Michigan got Caleb Love, who is one of the more sought-after players in the transfer portal. Caleb Love, the outstanding shooting guard from North Carolina. Also, this young man is going to be a sleeper, I think. Namari Burnett transfers in from Alabama. Long arms, 6'4", 6'5" wing, outstanding defender. He's going to fit in well. And Michigan's still waiting to hear if Hunter Dickinson is going to return. Hunter Dickinson is weighing all his options, taking his time. And also, Michigan also has Trey Jackson, a very nice power forward from Seton Hall. So Michigan has done very well in the transfer portal. Big ups to Juwan Howard. Let me see. I'm more for NIL than I am for transfer portal. Starters are now transferring for a better NIL deal. I think it will even be worse in women's basketball. The rich will get richer. Well, I mean, is college basketball any different than the rest of America? Curtis Dietz and ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand why college basketball should be any different. This is a land of opportunity. And monetary opportunity was not afforded college athletes forever. So I'm not in favor of limiting young people just because that's what we've been accustomed to. I want all of us to have the opportunities, right? So that's my take on it. I appreciate your opinion, but that's my take on it. So what does the upcoming season look like for Purdue with Edie leaving? Well, Trey Kaufman-Rennan will be back. Caleb First will be back. So they'll be fine up front. What's that big? They've got another 7'1" young man from overseas. I can't remember his name right now. He didn't play hardly at all. But if you know Purdue, they can develop big men as well as anybody in the country. So if Zach Edey does not come back, they'll be fine up front. They won't be as dominant with Zach there, but it's not like they won't drop off a cliff. What's up, Ron? Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. Jaden Akins is it possible he could be a better NBA player than college? You know how some players look average in college, then they get in the NBA and excel. You know, Ron, it's a good question. He definitely has NBA athleticism. He's got to smooth out that shot, and I think he needs I'd like to see him pick up some point guard skills. He doesn't do that at Michigan State, but he's a little undersized to be a true two guard. Think of Jordan Poole that played at Michigan. He's a prototype two guard at the NBA level. He's 6'5", 6'6". He's big compared to Akins. So it's a very good question. Athletically, he probably fits in the NBA better, but I'm not sure he has a skill set to play that two guard position at the next level. Hey, James, good to see you. Always glad that you are tuning in. Coleman Hawkins is invited to the combine. I'm sure Shannon won't have to go to the combine. So I haven't heard anything yet. James is still kind of early in the process. I would recommend that Coleman come back. I would probably tell Terrence he probably needs to go. I'm not sure what else Terrence Shannon can improve on at the college level. He showed he could shoot the three. He showed he could get down. He got to the free throw line as well as anybody in the conference. He's got the NBA athleticism. So I'd love to see him back in the Big Ten and back at Illinois. I'm not sure that there's anything else that college could provide him outside of having the pride of wanting to win and leave his mark on the Illinois program. I'm not sure that there's anything left for him to really prove at this level. So those would be my suggestions. Any update on no update on Hunter Dickinson? He's done a fantastic job of taking his time and not rushing things and allowing things to play out. I'm very impressed with his patience, because I would have pulled the trigger by now, but smart young man and taking his time to weigh all his options. I can't get enough of watching Big Ten ball. Lots of people think Big Ten is weak and it's ridiculous. As a big Illini fan, I can't get enough of it. All the teams beat the living crap out of each other. Every contest, games like the Big Ten make it hard to still for 40 minutes. That's how intense it is for me anyway. I feel you, Ben, but the Big Ten's got to get better. Overall, got to get quicker, got to get more athletic. I'd like to see more offensively skilled players in the Big Ten as well. Yes, the Big Ten is a great defensive conference. But the recent trends in the conference have not boded well on the national level. So my challenge would be to the Big Ten teams: get more athletic, get more offensively skilled. That would be my wish. Trandis Johnson, I think this is the first time you're on. If it is, welcome to Bardo's Breakdown. Thank you for joining. Based on the offseason, it's still early. What teams in the Big Ten have improved? What teams got you scratching your head? Trandis, good question. I think that Michigan State will be a favorite. If Boo Buie and Chase Audige come back to Northwestern, they'll be in the upper echelon. If Zach Edey returns to Purdue, they will certainly be. Well, I don't know if I'll say certainly. They'll be up there. I don't know that they'll be the preseason number one, because Michigan State, more than likely, if Akins and Hoggard come back, more than likely they'll be preseason number one. Maryland's going to be pretty good. Maryland will be top 5. And that's depending on Illinois. Illinois will find themselves in the mix in the upper echelon. So it'll be interesting. Those are the teams that I see, Trandis, but thank you. Ray J. Dennis. Thank you, Todd Wolf. Pride of Oswego, Illinois. Ray J. Dennis is the young man, and I'm talking about from Toledo, the point guard that was the MAC Player of the Year. Averaged 19.8 points per game, averaged just shy of 6 points and 5 rebounds a game. Young man can go get it. Enters the transfer portal. Indiana and Illinois seem to be the front runners right now. So we'll have to see what happens. But thank you for that, Todd. Thanks for that assist. Appreciate that. Kevin McDuffie was right on it as well. Kevin also thinks that Coleman Hawkins isn't an NBA-ready player yet. We'll see. Harold, I think the Dennis kid will be a linchpin. If Illinois gets this Dennis kid, I think that catapults Illinois into the top 4 of the Big Ten. Pooh says Caleb Love can he be a Big Ten Player of the Year type of player? Yes. I think he will have some nights he lights up the Big Ten. I agree, Pooh. I totally agree. Big time scorer. He got maligned as being one of the problems for North Carolina, but he didn't coach the team. I mean, they were a national runner-up. He was only one of the 4 players that returned starters from a national runner-up. This kid can score in a phone booth. He will be the top 2 guard in the Big Ten to start the season. He may not finish as a top 2 guard. He'll be the top 2 guard to start the season in the Big Ten. You've been knocking it out of the park, my guy. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Bobby Deal. Yep. I like this young man. I think that if he comes to Illinois, that bodes well for the Illini. Oh, okay. Good to see you again, Bobby. Thanks for sharing that, man. They are related, says Kevin Lucas. So Puff and Cam, Puff Puff Pass and Cam are related. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, Curtis, I'm gonna keep it to the Big Ten for now. No place for Edey in the NBA. He doesn't play well away from the basket. He's not an NBA caliber guy, in my opinion. You may be right, Kevin, but I tell you what, there's an NBA scout that seems to be intrigued by him. So all you need is one team to take a chance. That's it. Edey got away with about 23 3-second violations against the line this past season. Yeah, Kevin, but the Big Ten got away with cracking the hell out of him. They beat the crap out of Zach Edey. If you guys saw Zach Edey's arms in the Big Ten Conference Tournament at the end of the season, he had scratches in his armpit. He had scratches inside his armpit. The big fella got creamed. Yes, he would camp in the lane sometimes, but boy, did he take a pounding. So maybe he got away with certain things, but he also got pounded on all season and kept his cool for the most part. What's up, Amani? I was tuning in one show and you said about your son leaving you. Oh, you were sad about your son leaving. My question is, have you seen him since he left? Okay, now, Imani, my oldest son tuned in. I don't know if he's still on, but he's on. That was my youngest son. And not this past weekend, but the weekend before last, I went to Los Angeles to visit him. So yes, I did see him. So he's doing quite well. You probably like Girl All in My Business. No, it's cool. You know what, Imani? I'm kind of people that watch Bardo's Breakdown know that I don't have anything to hide. There's nothing to hide. I love my children. I love the game of basketball. It has benefited me throughout my life. I love my family. I don't hide anything. So thank you for asking. And he's doing quite well in the movie industry. Ironically, he's working on a movie about a young man who was a wrestler at Arizona State. And somehow he got in an accident and lost his leg. Ben Affleck is bankrolling this project. So you'll hear about the movie coming out. Landon is the movie director's assistant, and Landon will be a future NBA, future Hollywood movie director. So he's very close to where he wants to be, and it's a great opportunity. So thank you for asking. He's doing quite well. Thank you, Amani. I appreciate that. Let's see. Matthew May. What's up, Matthew? Good to see you again. Does your prep research for the upcoming season change at all given all? Oh, of course. More visits to practice in the fall or reliance on both? Actually, Matthew. Yeah, I like to get to practices, and then yes, I'm gonna have to definitely make some calls, talk to the sports information directors. So yeah, there's a lot of turnover, but it will start to settle here in a little bit because the transfer portal deadline is May 11th. Now, if you're a grad transfer, you can transfer at any time, I believe, and the rule doesn't apply to them. But for those that entered the transfer portal right after the season, they have until May 11th. So you'll see me come back on with another show maybe sometime this week, definitely next week, to update the transfer portal, because as the deadline comes, teams have to make decisions. And so we'll hear about Hunter Dickinson. We'll hear about some other players who are still kind of waiting to see how things shake out and fall out. But yeah, it will start to settle down towards the summertime. Then we can get to our research, and then in the fall we'll start to go to practices and things like that to get our intel. So, but great question, Matthew. Thank you. Linnea, Tom Izzo has no shame in not liking the transfer portal. Is Izzo just too old school? Well, let me ask you this, Linnea. What Big Ten team went the furthest in the tournament this season? I think it was Michigan State. And you know what? Tom Izzo is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He has a right to have this stance. He's old school. And, I mean, he didn't bail out on college basketball like Jay Wright, Mike Krzyzewski, and Roy Williams. To me, they bailed. Now, they didn't like what was going on, the three aforementioned Hall of Fame coaches, but to me, they bailed. If they liked the current situation in college basketball, do you think they would have left abruptly? I don't. But Tom Izzo, he doesn't necessarily care for the transfer portal, but he's not bailing. He didn't leave. So as long as he's successful, as long as the Michigan State faithful support Tom Izzo and Michigan State, I don't see any problem with it. And here's the thing. If Hoggard and Akins come back, the only player I believe that Michigan State will lose off their roster is Joey Hauser. Everybody else will be back. And they got some dogs coming. They got this kid out of Indianapolis who's a McDonald's All-American. The two freshman bigs are coming. They were balling at the end of the season. So Tom Izzo's doing something right. He may get involved in the transfer portal at some point, but he hasn't had to do it yet. Gary A. Oh, Kevin Lucas, you are the man. Quincy Guerrier. That is a great, you know what? On my board, when I call games this season, I'm using that spelling there. Instead of spelling out his last name, I'm gonna use that. Guerrier. Thank you, Kevin. That's boy, you guys are on it. Gregory Helton. Good to see you, Greg. Third time's a charm. That's right for Guerrier. See, Kevin, I did it right. Guerrier. Okay. Did you talk about Terrence Shannon's chance to make the NBA or come back to Illinois? Denise, I'd only be giving my opinion, and I think Terrence Shannon's an NBA player. Can he start right off the bat? Maybe not. But I think he's an NBA level player. Will he make the NBA and come back to Illinois? I don't know. Still too early to tell. We'll get more information as we get closer to the draft. I trained Justin Mullins from age 12 to 18. Best friends with his dad, Johnny. Okay. Mullins is the young man that is transferring from Denver. Wait a minute. Yeah, Justin Mullins from Denver is coming to Northwestern. So, Bobby, that's great, man. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Guys, I cannot get to everybody's questions because my voice is leaving. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. If there's anything that happens immediately, that is like if Hunter Dickinson makes his decision, if the young man, Dennis from Toledo makes a decision, I will come back and we can discuss it and talk about it. Ray J. Dennis from Toledo. If he makes a decision, we'll come back on to talk about it. But thank you so much for tuning in to Bardo's Breakdown. Love you guys. I appreciate your support. You guys have a great rest of your week. If you have any questions and you didn't see this live, go ahead and leave a comment in the questions. I'll get to it, and we'll go from there. Until next time, holla, y'all.